Hey everyone, today I've got Odetta with me from YouTube, an amazing one of our collaborators and an amazing teacher with over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm linking everything down for you all to check out because I was watching some of her videos before and I got super motivated with some of the passive income things that honestly I didn't even know about or didn't even know that they were easy to do. So Odetta is teaching entrepreneurship, other income kind of self-made techniques, including income through graphic design using tools like Kittl. She has some amazing Kittl tutorials that I thought were very amazing. I'm going to link those down as well. Now, today, what I want to talk about is blockers, things that stunt you from getting started in either these Amazon type things, Etsy, audiobooks, whatever. There's so many different ways that you can create self-made passive income and or completely replace your full-time job. And a lot of this is mindset. A lot of this is self-doubt. So I want to get into that and ask you a few questions about that. But before we dive in, I would like you to briefly introduce yourself, some of the people that may not know you, talk a little bit about what you do on your channel, and then we can dive in.
Thank you, Drew, for having me. And it's a pleasure to be here. Now, what I do on my channel is actually the philosophy of my channel is to change lives by changing mindset. Because mindset is the primary blocker I find for most people or from most people achieving their greatness. So if we can get that mindset shifted, then everything else, in my opinion, is possible. And I call my channel the Rockstar Academy. My last name is Rockhead, hence the Rockstar. I wanted to go with Rock Nation, but I thought Jay-Z might have sued me for that. So I stuck to Rockstar and Academy. To your point, I want to teach. I want to show. I want to help people to succeed in the easiest, more relatable or most relatable way possible.
Okay.
So that's my vision. And I've never been on YouTube until recently. My entire background is in corporate. I ran Fortune 500 companies for 25 years of my life. And then I retired in my 40s and thought, I'm used to having thousands of employees that I can inspire, that I can show them a path. How am I going to do this at home with my husband and my 2 sons? And I thought maybe YouTube is a good way to do it. And I launched my business, wrote books, and launched several other things. And I wanted a medium to share. So that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And for anyone that doesn't know your story, I encourage them to go check it out. Even just your bio in the YouTube description is quite powerful. So again, all that is linked down below. Now, I want to know, you have obviously this history in the kind of corporate world, running these companies, vice presidency of some of these companies. And I want to know how it worked from the transition between that kind of culture, that kind of world that you were in, into these more attainable, like you said, approachable forms of either passive income or work. Like what did that transition look like for you? Where did you even start into diving into that world so that you were able to start teaching it on YouTube?
Very good question. And thank you for being so kind with your comment earlier as well. So where I started was I had written a book and I launched an e-commerce business plus some other businesses. And as you know, unless you market, nothing happens.
Right.
Let me hop on to social media. So I started an Instagram page. And being on Instagram for a while, I saw traction, grew the platform to over 20,000 subscribers. Oh, wow. But it was limiting my reach. Because what I think is the biggest differentiator between YouTube and an Instagram and other platforms is YouTube gives you global reach. There's less caging and everybody gets to see your content because YouTube is feeding the video to an audience that has a need. So when I realized I wasn't making the kind of traction I wanted on YouTube, and I kept having people reach out to me, especially persons who I've worked with, Odetta, can you coach me? Odetta, can you explain how this works? And I would take up my phone and I would record this long voice note explaining how to go and write a book and publish it on Amazon KDP. And I thought, why am I doing this? Maybe YouTube is a nice idea. And then a friend of mine She has been watching YouTube for years, and she said, go on YouTube and start sharing. Now, before YouTube, I'd never recorded long form content, and I'd
Right.
never used a camera to record my phone, to do something quick and for Instagram. So I had to learn and start from scratch. And I had thousands of people on Instagram, on LinkedIn. They didn't translate. It took me months to get monetized like anyone else. And this is posting religiously 3 videos per week. So it was daunting for me because I'm used to a world where I, get things done. If I need a client, I walk in a room, I pitch them, I have new business. And I'm now trying to pitch an audience that is looking for an emotional connection and who is looking for consistency and who is looking for good material. And what I was used to doing wasn't necessarily working. If you listen to my first videos, they sound like I'm lecturing instead of I'm having, a casual conversation with a friend who I'm trying to help. So it was a leap, and I had to unlearn and relearn quite a few things, but it was worth it because although the process took a long time, slow progress, because I conditioned my mind that as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I was going to get to where I was going to go, and it worked. So, that I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I wonder in that kind of journey. Now, while you were doing the YouTube and explaining things that you had already had previous experience with, of course, you had all these people asking you, like, how the heck do I do this? I know you did this, so can you walk me through it? Is that what was prompting you to discover these other avenues of passive income or businesses? Like, for example, you have a video showing AI sticker art, right? That probably wasn't forefront in your mind, I think, probably when you were first getting started. So is I guess what I'm asking is the inspiration of you starting to just help others with what you know, is that what led you down to say, well, let me find out all of the other discoverable passive income streams?
You're correct. It started there. And when I started Patreon, what would happen is I realized that my community, they were not always computer literate, and they always wanted something that was beginner friendly. So that also led me down to what are the simple things that people can do online to make money. And that's where Kittl came in because of the user friendliness. So that's how I would answer that question.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I think a lot of people are sitting in a couple of different categories. One of which is I just don't know what's available to me, right? And so that's where they can find a channel like yours or anyone else kind of sharing these different methods, and they can say, oh, okay, well, that's actually pretty approachable. Let me try that. So that's interesting how you got there, and the medium was in starting YouTube, which is helping you find all of these other all these other things to try. Now, in one of your more recent videos within the last month or so, I really liked how you were kind of explaining how you can. I think it was either printables or posters, just wanted to, or both. And there was a section in the video where I was watching, and you were just saying, now, I'm paraphrasing, but you said something like, now I want you to comment down below, like, I can do this. Like, I want to see you say, I can do this thing, right? And so that leads to your approachableness. Now, that's really good affirming nature that a lot of people probably aren't used to hearing. Even though on your side of the screen, sometimes that might feel a little bit weird to say, because you have to wait until you actually get it out for then people to see it. But what are the most common blockers that you've seen in terms of mindset that are stunting people from posting that comment, right? I can do this. I'm going to get started, right? This is the meat of our conversation I think I want to get into, is this either self-doubt or I'm impersonating someone that can do this, but I really can't do it. Like, all of these things. Like, I just want to hear your thoughts about this so that we can motivate people to get back in the driver's seat and do what they want to do.
Okay, it's definitely a pleasure to share. And There are a lot of reasons, and I'll go through a few of the top ones, but you hit the nail on the head. It starts with self-doubt. And this is why a lot of my videos, I will show proof of people who have done this or who are doing it successfully, so that it's not seeming like a pipe dream of something that's just out there for these special people who have these special miraculous skills and they're the only ones that can achieve it. I typically took everyday people and say, they're doing it, and I have every confidence that you can. And that's to help with the mindset shift. But some of the most popular ones is, I don't have enough time. I hear that one so much. And coming from, well, I never had a 9-to-5 job, because when you're at the VP level, it's like operating your own company. But being in a structured job, when you leave and you come home, typically you're able to separate, right?
Sure.
The problem is people don't, or most persons, I shouldn't say people in general, most persons don't understand that 9-to-5 job, for the most part, unless they're the CEO of Apple, it will not help them to achieve financial independence, especially in a relatively short time, long before retirement. If you're not investing as much time in your 5 to 9, which is when you leave that 9-to-5 and you get home and you're doing these different side hustles, then it's going to be hard for you to achieve your financial objectives. What people don't realize is they do have enough time, but they're not allocating or making that 5 to 9 a priority and dedicating it to this. And we all have kids. We all have a family. We all have things that we need to take care of. And we're all concerned about work-life balance. But I've often said that anything worth fighting for, it's going to unbalance your life. But that unbalancing is temporary. So make up your mind and say, for the next 5 years, I'm going to have 5 to 9 for myself. And I'm going to give the whole weekend to my kids. And, outside of homework time, I'm going to dedicate this time. And you'll soon realize that you make time for what's important. If I had said, come to Jamaica, Montego Bay, every other week from 5 to 9, and there's going to be $1 million sitting there for you, you're not even going to ask me where you're going to get the plane fare. You're going to show up. Why? Because that was important for you to do. The issue with time is we don't think what we need to do in those 5 to 9 hours, it's important. So that's a typical excuse. And I'll go into others as we're progressing, or I can continue if you want.
Yeah, I think the time thing is obviously one that we hear all the time. And it's also one of the most important attributing factors to some of the most successful creators that we've had interviewed here. It seems like the last 3, and I'm sure yourself included now, the last 3 have seemed to say somewhere between the 4 to 5 a.m. mark, they were getting up, working on their own thing, doing their 9 to 5, getting off, working until say 7, then doing family things, then working 9 to 11, go to bed, getting up at 4 to 5, right? And so there seems to be this same consistent thread that aligns with what you're saying. And you mentioned it earlier. You said, when I start a video, I'm saying, all right, here's proof. Okay, I'm not just going to yell at you and say that you can make $1 million from doing this thing. Here's proof. Well, now you've just said people are saying they don't have time. Well, here's proof. Here's the people that probably didn't also have time because they had kids and full-time jobs and had to travel and do things, yet they got up at the stupid hours of the morning, I would say, and worked on their own thing. So yeah, I mean, I really like how you also said that in what you're trying to do and what you're trying to teach is not either a pipe dream or just kind of this wild goose chase that takes tons of work to do for only special people, right? I just had a friend, his name is John Santos. He has an amazing kind of streetwear, street crafter type channel. And I had said the same thing to you. I was like, well, a lot of people are going to come to you and say like, well, not everybody has a 500,000 subscriber YouTube. Not everybody has a 1,000,000 subscriber YouTube, right? Oh, it's so easy for you, right? But his response was, well, I mean, I started at zero. So it's
We
like,
all do.
I started at zero. So I had to get here somehow, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just time is important. I get it, but obviously the cliche is time is money, but I mean, it's just true, you know?
And I think routine in time management is critical because I create 3 videos every single week for the most part. And what I do is on a Saturday, I script my 3 videos. On a Sunday, I record my 3 videos. And before I got an editor on board, which I did recently, earlier this year, I edited everything myself. And what I would do is now that I have my 3 videos, I'm on large company boards still. I'm doing coaching. I'm running different companies, brick and mortar businesses as well that we still own. But whenever I got time throughout that week, I would go in and edit the video that was already recorded. And then I would post it. So what I would say is there are tools out there, productivity tools that you can use to manage your time. And there's also time allocation. Pick the days when you can get away, and then all the other days dedicated to family. If it's Saturday and Sunday, you know you're going to do just you on those days throughout the day. You still have night for families, but sacrifice is important for greatness to be achieved.
Yeah, I that reminds me, I just finished my book that will hopefully be published in June. And, you know, I had a writing coach and this publishing company that's helping me all through it. And there's a whole course they make you go through to, you know, be accepted for them doing the book and all that stuff. And this is the same kind of thing. If we just niche this down to, let's say, writing a book, or publishing your first book or whatever, people, you know, in the chat, in the course, on the live calls, like, oh, it's just so hard to find time to write, right? And so the main thing, the first kind of principle they teach is like, all right, small wins. Can you write 1,500 words today? Right. And it's like you're saying, time allocation. It's the same thing. We just put words, we put a word mark to it, right? Could be 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at lunch, 30 minutes at night, whatever. Can you get 1,500 words out today, right? And so for people that are doing print on demand, it could be, can you get 5 listings up today? Can you even just design 5 products, right? So if you can attribute the small win goals to the time allocation, it's also quite strong. So yeah, that's great. Time is definitely a big one. What else do you think is hindering people, stopping people, or even they've started and yet they're just like, I got to give up?
Well, first, let me say congratulations on your book, because that's a huge accomplishment. And I'm wishing you nothing but the best when it comes to success. And I'm sure it will do well. Make sure you send me a link so I can get my copy as well.
Sure.
Now, the second one, and this one is real, it's I don't have the technical skills, because not everything is for everyone, and not everybody is at the same level when it comes to their mental capacity. And I coach a lot of persons who can barely maneuver the functionalities on a computer.
Right.
So this is why I try to focus on either making it so simple. In a lot of my videos, you'll hear me say, this is so easy, a 5-year-old could do it based on the process I'm going to use.
Yeah.
You've heard that, right?
Yeah.
And that's deliberate, because I'm trying to, I don't want to say dumb it down, but I'm trying to make it so simple, so practical, so relatable, by not just saying step 1, you do this, step 2, you do that, but using simple language and also showing all my steps on screen while I'm doing it. And, you know, for knowledge, you have many tools out there online now that you can use to ask questions. You know, ChatGPT is one where you can ask how to do this. But as an example, when I used Kittl to teach persons how to write a book, which I think that video is going up soon if it's not up already. But when I taught people how to write a photo book, the process was just so simple. You get what you want to put in the book, you copy and paste a prompt, You then copy and paste the text. You paste it in Kittl. Kittl generates the images. It uses the multiple artboards. It pulls it together. You download it. You have a book.
Yeah.
Believe me when I tell you a 5-year-old could do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the excuse of not having enough technical skills, I find to be one that persons use when they fear failure.
Yeah.
They don't want to explore and then realize they don't have the skills, because if they explored and did it, they would realize that they can do it too. But that fear is blocking them from even discovering that lack of technical skills is an excuse. It's not their reality.
Right. Yeah, and I did notice that a couple times. A 7-year-old could do this, or a 10-year-old,
Yeah.
and I think there's a couple times where you're like, they're probably doing this or something. And it's funny because it's a little bit of this reverse psychology in a way, because it's like at first it's like, don't tell me a 5-year-old could do this. There's no way. But then at the same time, what it does is encourage the older generation to say, well, I don't want to be shown up by a 5-year-old, so clearly this must be easy enough to, right? It's basically like, how do
Psychology
you,
of it.
yeah.
Yes.
So how do you know that it's not that easy if you haven't tried it yet, right? So it's this kind of like, we use this all the time when we're teaching percussion and we get new students in. If we don't tell the new students that the piece of music is hard, they don't know what to think. So if we just keep telling them like, dude, this is easy, let's stop messing it up, it's very easy, eventually they're only going to hear that so many times to where they're like, man, I have really got to figure this out. They keep telling me this is easy. I mean, to a degree, it's not like we're going to set them on fire and they're going to fail on whatever. So, but like, it's that kind of idea, right? It's like, there's only so many times I'm going to hear Odetta tell me that a 7-year-old can do it before I'm like, you know what? There's no way a 7-year-old could do this better than me, right? Yeah.
Definitely. Another one that I hear a lot is, I don't have the money to invest, or I don't have the money to
Oh,
start.
that's a
Or
big
it's
one. We get
too
that all the
risky.
time. Yeah.
Yes, or it's too risky to put so much money into it, right? And I'd say 95% of what I share, you can either use it for free in its entirety, or you can experiment with it for free and see if you like it, if you can do it before you make a commitment.
Okay.
Very rarely do I share something that you have to pay. But even when you do have to pay, the subscription is usually less than, $20 or something like that. But you usually have a free option as well. So I try to avoid, because could I share things that require a big investment? I could have, but I try to stay away from those because I want to be able to have an impact on everyone despite their level of affordability, because I was born into poverty and I never want money to be a reason why someone can't achieve their goals, because I was there. So because of that, I try to share things that are affordable. But here's the thing. If you're going to do anything in this life that's going to make you the kind of money that is life-changing, you're going to need to invest.
Sure.
Oftentimes, that's an investment of time, but there are times when it's an investment of money. And what you can do, or what I recommend persons do, is that they start small. Don't go out there and invest $5,000, $6,000 to do a course. Find someone on YouTube who's talking about that same thing, who is saying, just subscribe to the platform for $10, for $15, test it out. And when you're comfortable that this is worth the investment, then you can push forward and move ahead. But in most cases, it's really an excuse because, like I said, a lot of what's out there you can access free, play around with it before you're required to make a commitment. And when the commitment is required, it's minimal.
Yeah, and there's this kind of map or chart, if we were to kind of, section it out on this kind of line graph or bar graph of free versus paid compared to investment of time, right? So it's like you could probably go ahead and pay some money to have an easier and faster time doing something to get you to your goals, or to your approach and your philosophy is, well, I'm going to share with you the things that are the easiest and free and or cheapest to do. But with that kind of bar, typically means that for it to work well, you reverse the investment back to time. So it's like we have time over here and we have money over here. And it's like, well, that's fine. If you don't have the money bucket way up here, then you're going to have to adjust the time bucket to invest in these free things, or do the research to find the free tool that's going to help you do the thing that you have to do. I mean, there's amazing free video editors. DaVinci Resolve, for example, there's amazing free graphic design tools. I mean, even Kittl, we have a free trial, as well as tons of promotions we're running all the time. Like but that takes a little bit of work to get there, to even know what to use. You see what I mean? So it's cost versus it's cost versus time versus profit analysis, right?
Agree 100%. And we have to value our time better. And, like recently, I decided I wanted to start a new YouTube channel in another niche. And I thought, how long is it going to take me to create these videos? Although I'm going to use AI. And, one of the videos I demonstrated on Kittl, where it was a historical video, where I picked a story from history, which was the Boleyn sisters. And I used Kittl graphics, 3D graphics, to tell that story. And I want to do more of that. And while I absolutely enjoyed the process, I found someone who on Fiverr was going to do a video for me at $15 a pop, which means I could easily get 3 videos out at $45. Sure. So that goes back to your point. Quantify your investment of time versus an investment in outsourcing that activity that could be potentially revenue generating, and it's definitely going to make over time a lot more money than $15 per video.
Yeah. And I would say this, I mean, out of all of the ones you've shared so far, maybe we can get into one more before I ask a couple of practical questions. But out of all of these, time is obviously a big one. And then this one, I would say, either ranks the same, if not more, is this investment that you're talking about, this upfront cost, right? And we try to eliminate that fear in kind of showing the process. And like you said, showing proof, this is what's actually happened. And I'm just not so sure that that's always the case, because I think that there's always something that you can use. There's always perhaps YouTube videos that, again, you may have to search for, but someone's showing you what you want to do. I mean, it's just so rare that I can't put in the YouTube search something that will come up with what I want. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like the most niche random things about like Notion, a tool I use for like organizing. I wrote my book in Notion, right? So it's like just the most niche thing about, like, someone has done it, right? And so yes, I know that not everyone is on the same financial level, but to your point, and I'm sure that many other people would agree, perhaps they've just had a kid and they need, to figure out a way to get more passive income, because what they're doing right now isn't cutting it for them, or they have 5 part-time jobs, or they have 1 full-time job that they hate, or whatever. There's always a way to find the thing or find help in getting done what you want, or at least starting, maybe not getting like all the way to the top. I think some of that is realistic expectations, which may be one of your stunters is not setting realistic expectations, right? You start a store and you're like, oh, tomorrow is $1 million, right? But that's kind of just what I wanted to say about that, is like, I know that it's a tough one. Not everybody has, million subscriber YouTube, 65,000 subscriber YouTube, whatever, but we all started at 0, Yeah.
Yes. And yes, realistic expectations is one of them. But before we go there, another one, because I'm trying to rank these in my head based on how often I hear them. And realistic expectation is not one, it's one I hear a lot, but not as often as this one. The market is saturated. Everybody is doing phone case with beautiful graphics. Everybody's doing stickers. Everybody's doing ebooks. Yet somebody publishes an ebook and it still sells millions, right? Someone publishes some art and it still sells thousands. The thing is, what persons don't realize is that there's always an audience. You have the globe, right? There's always an audience out there for what it is that you're trying to market. But what you have to do, and what I recommend persons doing, is differentiate. I like to see on my channel, we don't do normal, because normal, when you do normal, your outcome is going to be average or mediocre. But when you go after phenomenal, and it's not hard to do phenomenal, but when you do that, your outcome is going to be greatness. It's going to be something that you are going to be proud of. And, in coaching persons, as an example, with print on demand, the question I typically ask them is, when they come up with the design and they put it on the product, I said, if you walked in a store and saw that on a shelf, would you buy it? And do you know their answer, although they created this, is usually no, because it's normal. I say, I want you to create something that you would buy, that would pop out to you, that is going to make you proud when you see it on a shelf. So if everybody is creating images, like 3D images of cartoon characters that are from, recent cartoon characters, go back and find one like Dragon Ball Z and then put your own little spin on it, right? And then you use that. So be different, and AI can actually help you to be different. You can literally type in a prompt somewhere that says, this is my niche. I want to focus on stickers, or I want to focus on art for my phone case. And give me unique ways to do this. Give me ways that are not popular. Or you can go into Google Trends and you can type in stickers and you can look at the gaps that are out there for what people are searching for, but there are not enough sticker types like that popping up. These are sub niches. And if you do different, no matter how saturated the market is, or if you do you, because remember, you're still unique. And a lot of people are afraid to put their personality into what they're creating, but that's what usually creates the differentiator that's needed for success.
Yeah, I love Google Trends. It's awesome. I think not a lot of people know that it's an easily accessible free tool. And then, I have so many thoughts on this. So yeah, you mentioned AI, and then you just got me thinking. We just released, I believe today, should be, well, not today, me and you time, not when this came out. This is already going to be out, but we have the image preset tool for you to upload your own presets to our AI. So now you can find whatever you want. Let's say, like you said, you get your favorite anime character from an anime, and you're using that as you're basically telling Kittl AI, I like this format or this style or this character. Give me a, character that looks like this, holding a sword and fighting it, or whatever, and it uses that style to then create something unique. And then what's pretty amazing is I figured out this hack yesterday. I'll download that image that it gave me, and I'll upload that as a preset, and then I'll get it consistent like every time. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I'm basically training it like, here's an image that I would like you to use as the style guide for what I'm about to create. So that just got me thinking, like, that would be such an easy way to, I think you said phenomenal, right? Something unique. Another thing this reminds me of is I just talked to Taylor, one of our collaborators from Taylor POD. Now, she's also just recently started YouTube, extremely small channel. I think she's around 15,000 subscribers now. I think she was at 9,000 when we talked like 2 weeks ago, but she just started her store in 2023 and became a 6-figure Etsy seller in just 1 year. And so that title of that video on our channel, which all of you can go check out up in the cards somewhere, is POD is not oversaturated and we have proof. And it's literally her. And the point that I want to make in getting to that is she started with something that she knew and was passionate about, which goes back to your point in saying, like, okay, you created this design, you probably saw some seller selling it for and doing well, so you copied some of what they did, and you won't buy it because it's already done, right? So
Both.
what she did was picked the niche that she knew well, right? That and you just have the intimate knowledge of the thing so that you resonate with what the viewer is going to want or buy, and then you put your unique phenomenal spin on it, and someone's like, I get the reference, this is my people, this is my tribe, I'm going to buy that because that's really interesting, right?
Mhm. You hit the nail on the head. And I'm glad you have that success story to share, again, to bring confirmation and proof to this. Well, another one is, even before we get to realistic expectations, because that one I think is going to take a few minutes, but I need to find the perfect idea before I start.
This is what people are saying to you is they
Yes.
don't have an idea. Oh, okay.
Correct. Or I need to find the perfect design, or I need to record the perfect video. Do you know how many persons
Ooh,
create a video that they're about to post on YouTube, start their channel, and they re-record it so many times
I
that
have
it
friends that way.
drives them into frustration and
Yeah.
they quit before they started? A
Yeah, I
lot.
have friends like that. Yeah, I have several friends that I've said
A
set up
lot.
the camera and time lapse it. I mean, I was even doing that on my because I have a few channels I manage, but I have a smaller one, and there's a few videos unlisted that I'm like, this sucks. It's not good enough. So even I do it to myself.
So what I'm saying when I do it, because we all do it, we're humans.
Mm-mm.
And there are videos. I remember when I just started YouTube, right? I had gotten ready and then I ate something. And in Jamaica, we eat callaloo, which is like spinach for you. And it left a little piece of spinach in my teeth. And when
Mm-mm.
I was editing the video, the spinach just took me off. And I'm like, oh my God, there's no way. I'm just starting out. There's no way I can post this. And you know what I did? I edited a portion of the video. Afterwards, I went back and I recorded and I said, I know the spinach in my teeth is going to be distracting, but don't allow it to be the focus. Focus on the words, not the spinach. And I turn it into humor. Because what you have to realize is that the people watching, they're not perfect. And my recommendation every day is focus on progress, never perfection.
Okay.
And a lot of people want to get it perfect. They want the perfect graphics. They want the perfect video. They want the perfect setup before they get started. But the people who have achieved the most success in this life, and I'm speaking from experience, is those who started before they were ready. Because here's the thing, it's okay to get better with time.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, when you start before you're ready and you learn along the way, you master it better because now your training or your knowledge is practical. Trying to learn it before you start is totally different from doing it and learning, because then you can apply what you're learning in real time versus putting all this into your brain and pumping it in and not applying it. Some of it get lost. It does get lost over time. So my advice is perfection is unreal. It's inauthentic. Focus on progress.
Yeah, that's like I think a 1-for-1 of what we heard when I was in Sean Cannell's YouTube masterclass on YouTube. He runs an amazing channel called Think Media, and it's like listen.
I do watch Think Media.
It's like listening to exactly him. Is start before you're ready. 1% better with every upload. I mean, this is the method that will get you where you need to be. And it reminds me of my previous interview with John, who I mentioned before, John Santos. And he was saying, you would be really surprised at the amount of people that are coming to me asking me all these questions about what heat press should I get, what kind of blanks should I order, what kind of heat transfers do I need, and they don't even have an idea for their name, right? And so he's like, why would you're about to spend, 10 grand and you don't have an idea of your name, and now you're going to have this heat press in your house with no shirt design. It's just like, yes, it's like people are trying to think of their perfect thing, but then typically what they do is they skip that step altogether, and they're just
Okay.
like, oh, I learned that this is the best POD niche, or this is the best heat press, or this is the best KDP book creator, and then they get stuck in just like continuing to learn or continuing to test all these things, and they don't even they haven't started. They haven't just started with something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, I get that you want the perfect entity, and like you said, it's not about perfection at all. It's about just doing doing something. It's just getting started, and I preferably like that, and try to, again, in my friends, and I try to explain to them like, hey, what you just did was really cool. Why did you not set up a camera and just record it? It's like, well, because I want a nice camera, and like when I launch my channel, I want it to be nice. I'm like, but you could have just posted that today. Like you could have just set that up. You know, it's like, well, for us, for me and you, it's like kind of easy now, and so we have to like relearn where we were back when we started, to kind of at least sympathize and be like, look, hey, I get it. Like, I get
Okay.
it. You want it to be nice. Like, we have nice cameras and things now, and we can do, whatever. But it was like, I was filming on my phone, like when I first started, like all the
Same
videos
here.
on my phone,
Same
right?
here.
And it's like, you just start with what you know, and you start with what you're passionate about. And it's also, I think, another trap is that people believe that they're locked into whatever they've decided. I think that might be a big issue, right? Like, you
Okay.
can change your Etsy
Yes, you
shop
can.
name. You can
The-
change your YouTube cover art. You can change a shirt design that you end up not liking. And so I think it's like, man, there's just no going back. I mean, now, if you open an LLC and end up spending a bunch of money on one name that's now tax liable, yeah, maybe think through that a little bit before you pull the trigger on that one. But some of these other things, right? Like, you can change the book cover to your ebook or your Amazon. It's just like, don't feel trapped, I think, is the key takeaway.
Agree 100%. And I still do it in some instances, right? Where I'm deliberating, is this a good cover for a book that I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
publish, as an example? And, it happens to the best of us. But every time that happens, I'm going to create a piece of art on, Kittl that says progress over perfection. And I'm
Mm.
going to put it right here on my door,
Yeah.
because it still happens. And I just want to be reminded every
Mm.
time I'm obsessing over something, that what matters is the progress, and to start before I'm ready. So you gave me a good idea just now.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. That's excellent.
And
Is there any
let's
other
go
ones? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
realistic. Let's
Yeah.
go to the realistic expectations, because this one, oh my goodness, it's uh it's such a a deterrent for
Hmm.
most,
Hmm.
because I'll be coaching someone or talking to someone, and they say, I started my YouTube channel, and I posted 12 videos, and they weren't necessarily getting any views, and I got frustrated and I stopped. Now, to get monetized, I posted 150 videos.
That's a
So
lot.
I'm looking and thinking, and most times this is a faceless channel. It's not even a channel where you can connect with your audience visually. And, after a few videos, the throwing the towel is the first thing in your thoughts. And that's what I always say. When I decided to come on YouTube, I didn't come initially to make money, but the minute I watched enough videos to realize it could be a business, I shift my focus. Because if I'm going to do it and there's money to be made, I'm going to treat it like a business from as early as I possibly can. And that's what I did. But what I also did was I said, when I'm starting every business that I've started, or every business that I know of, there's usually an investment of at least 3 to 5 years before you can realize any return on your investment of time or financial investment, right?
Okay.
So I told myself, I'm going to post 3 videos every week on YouTube, whether I get a view or not, or a subscriber or not, for 1 to 3 years. And if that doesn't work, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to revisit my strategy and try something different. And that way, I never get caught up with expectations. Because when I think of, okay, I just posted, if you put the reality of my situation, I went into YouTube with 20,000 subscribers, 10,000 people on LinkedIn, over 9,000, 5,000 on Facebook. You would have expected that I would get to 1,000 subscribers in no time, right?
Yeah.
I certainly did go on those platforms and tell them, come over on YouTube, and
it won't happen. I don't know. I have tried it many times.
They did not transition. The audience did not move.
Nope.
I still had to build an audience on YouTube, one video at a time. So what I want to say about that is, don't set the expectation after you have started the process, because when you do that, you're already feeling, impatient when you don't see the results. Try to set the expectation even before you start. And always remember that anything in this life that's going to make you money, that could potentially change your life, it's going to require an investment of time that's going to be seen only as a sacrifice when you look back at it. And in doing so, if you're selling, for example, if you're selling, going back to the phone cases, if you're selling phone cases with beautiful designs, you can't expect that within a year you're going to see mind-blowing sales when you haven't told anybody about your store. You haven't done any marketing. You haven't posted on Pinterest or Instagram or TikTok to advertise. Yes, some of us are lucky enough where we just get organic traffic, but it's very rare. Condition your mind that, one, I'm going to create a product every single week to add to my initial 50 products. And I'm going to build social media platforms, and I'm going to post consistently, because when you set that expectation and you put a time factor to it, you'll only feel like a failure or feel disappointed when that time has expired. And if you're being reasonable based on what you know about starting anything online or starting a business, it shouldn't be less than 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, and I think that it's similar to the set it and forget it mindset. I mean, you used this kind of, I posted 12 videos and it didn't go the way I want to, right? Just translate that to whatever you want. I posted 12 ebooks and none of them sold. I posted 12 Etsy listings and I've got 2 views. I posted 3 digital products and none of them have sold. It's like, well, that's because, you're not being consistent anymore. If you're just trying to set and forget it, it just doesn't work, right? These platforms, one, need to know that you're here to play, right? Because you're competing. You have the eyeballs of everybody, but you're competing with everyone else that has the eyeballs of everybody. So the platforms need to know that you're here to play, and you need to have the discipline enough to be consistent with it. And so I think this is where I like to break down expectation based on achievement and practicality versus complete return. Now, I really like your 1 to 3 year plan, method, strategy to revisit and see what worked and what didn't work. And in the meantime, you fill in all of those steps with the practical expectations. The expectation with the best payoff and the best little dopamine hit that you're looking for is, I published 5 designs this week, or I posted 3 videos this week. That's a win, not I didn't make $100,000 this month, I'm going to quit. It's like a complete difference in like expectation. So the expectation is, you set expectation for yourself the right way, because when you say I want to make $100,000, certainly there are these things that you can put in place, ads, marketing, things that you brought up, but that's an expectation that you're placing on consumers to purchase your product. I mean, it's an expectation that you're providing something they want, but you see what I mean for the analogy here. You're putting an expectation that people will come and purchase this thing. If you flip that to put the expectation on yourself that I'm going to upload a product to my digital store every single week, I'm going to post a video every single week, I'm going to upload an Etsy listing every single day, and you do that for a year, I just find it extremely hard to believe that you won't find any success. Like I just find it difficult to the set it and forget it. It will not work because it's destined for failure by proxy of that mindset, right? It's just like it's just like yeah, I don't know. You're not in a superstore like PacSun with like 100 of your designer shirt that probably 70 of them are not gonna they're not gonna sell. 20 of them are gonna sell, and then the rest of them are gonna go to some thrift store. That it's such a different model, right? And
Yes, it is.
yeah. So my encouragement there would be discipline and flipping the monetary expectations to your work expectations, because eventually you can start building monetary value to those realistic work expectations, because you can say, nice, I did a product on my digital store every single week for 3 months and I made 12 sales. Now I know which ones sold. Now I can kind of recreate or do a part 2 or whatever. I'm going to do that for another 3 months. Nice. I 2x'd it, right? So
Yes.
you have to collect data and set the expectation and the discipline for yourself to just, I mean, like you said, 1% better with each thing,
Indeed, indeed. And you're correct when you talk about comparing it to a store. Not everything is going to get sold. Not everything is going to do well, but you have to give your audience enough options to choose from. And you have to stay current and give them new options as well. So set it and forget it is only when you're already making $1 million, and then you can sleep and make that passive income, but the work has to go in to get you there.
Yeah, yeah, and I always think about what Ryan Hogue, another one of our collaborators, gives really great. I mean, he's all into the mindset, and that's what's really, I think, made him successful as entrepreneur, print-on-demand, whatever. Is he's like, I'm not gonna not set the expectation for myself that I can't make $1 million with print-on-demand because I know people are doing it. And he's like, but what I have to set as the expectations before I get to that is what takes me to the $1 million, right? It's not, I'm putting my faith in this, yeah, I'm not putting my faith in this one design because it's a trend and it's going to be my $1 million product. Possible. Probably with print on demand, it's doubtful that one product alone might do it. But you know what I mean? It's just like you have to have these, milestones is a great way to put it, until you hit that realistic expectation of monetary value. And so that's not I don't want to hear anybody like hear me saying that you can't make that much money. That's not what we're saying. It's like you can, to your point of the proof that you show, like you can do it, but it is work to get there, and it is consistent and disciplined work. So yeah, I mean, all of this this entire conversation on all of the things that block us all revolve around time and discipline. Kind of honestly.
Yes, it does. It comes right back to that.
Yeah, that's the overarching kind of theme and the method here. But yeah, as we come to what's about an hour now, this has been so good. I'm sure we could go on forever. But I want to give you the time to talk about anything that's upcoming for you. As we come to a close here, anything that's upcoming for your channel, anything that's upcoming course-wise. I know you have a Patreon as well. Obviously, you're offering some coaching. Just want to give you the opportunity to talk about anything that's upcoming before we sign off.
Thank you for that opportunity, Drew. So I actually don't have any courses. I explored and experimented, and I kept thinking, again, I'm going to have to make people pay for knowledge to help them to achieve. So I don't have any now. It doesn't mean I won't have any in the future. But one of the things I want to do with my YouTube channel is I want to do more lives. When you read through the comments, I realize that, I'll share something and people will still have a question that I took for granted that they knew. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
I will share a video on how to make money on YouTube. And somebody will say, but how do you get monetized to make that money to begin with? I assumed that they knew that, right? So two things I'm doing. I'm going to be doing more live training to teach some of the things that I do on YouTube, but that way I can field questions as they're coming through and respond to them. And I've launched my second channel, which is, I call it what is it called? Money Madness and no, Money Mindset and Mystery. I'm still working on the name. Can you? Money Mindset and Mystery, Odetta Rockhead Unedited. And what I'm going to be doing there is answering all the questions in my comments on that channel in videos. So if someone says, how do I get monetized on YouTube? Hop over to that channel. It's going to be there. If someone says, but I'm still struggling to get this done, can I get, more details on this? I'll share it there, because that's just going to be explaining, teaching, motivating, that kind of thing. It's not so much, a video that needs to be finished at a certain time, that's focused in a certain way, and it's going to be unedited. So whatever I say, God forbid, I hope I don't say anything that requires a filter, it's going to be posted as is. And I'm doing that in my lives, and I'll start doing at least once per quarter. Outside of that, I have some books coming out, but they're not at the point yet where I can announce them. And I'll be launching a new company, but not at the point where I can announce it.
Busy. Yeah, busy.
And that's why that I don't have enough time is not something I identify with. At no point in my life, actually, because you are right. If you have the discipline, you'll make the time. If you have the commitment, you'll make the time. If your why is big enough and your hunger is at the level that you can't control it because you want that thing so bad, you'll make the time.
Yeah, that's like 5 inspirational posters and t-shirt designs in like 1 second. It's like the best, the just spitting off the wisdom right here. Well, this has been amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time. Everyone watching and or listening, what I want you to do is comment below if you have a question. Now, of course, tell me if you thought this was helpful. We would love to know that feedback. But if there was something that we got into here and you want to hear more about, and you say, okay, well, I align with that excuse, or I align with that issue, tell me how to get over that more, comment that down below, because that's just more fuel for us. That's videos that Odetta can make on that second channel. That's videos that I can make. If it's, perhaps design related, I can make that for our channel. I love reading all of your all's comments, especially the questions one, because if you didn't notice, I have a playlist now that's called Kittl Questions. And so I just take all of the questions and I just kind of like Odetta just mentioned, I just turn the camera on and I say, hey, let's go through this. Right. And it's just, we just talk. So please comment below so that we can know what your thoughts are about this conversation. Of course, like the video if you liked it. And if you've watched this far, I'm assuming you're subscribed, but if you're not, please do. Please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. Head over to Odetta's channel, hit the subscribe button there so she can continue to make world-class free content on the YouTube channel. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.